So if you guys are waiting, I'll kind of give you a brief recap of what's happening right now. Our glider contest is starting tomorrow at 12 p.m. UTC time. So if you guys have queries and you're wanting to submit them, please do. And if they're good queries, we will of course uh, reward you for it. So uh, get ready for that. This talk is all going to be about the glider contest and glider and how to um, really take full advantage and understand all the rules and how to write really great queries in order to get paid as much as you can. All right, guys, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be going over the glider contest and how to write glider queries. And hopefully, if you guys are new to glider, you'll quickly understand what glider is and be able to contribute to this contest. So if you're unfamiliar with glider, glider is a static code analyzer, which is a very fancy word of saying it's a sort of search engine for code patterns. So if you have a vulnerability that you guys want to look for, and you want to look for it across every single verified contract on chain, you could do this with glider, and that provides immense power to you as a security researcher because you're looking at many contracts at once. And you could look for just about anything you want with glider. Let me go ahead and I'll quickly share my screen with you guys because I just want to show you what exactly the how to use glider, because you'll be using it every single time you want to write a query and submit it to our contest. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here is the Glider IDE, and you can visit this by going to glide.r.xyz. Here, you can, once you get here, you go to the IDE at the top left, and you'll be able to, on this page, write queries, manage queries, run queries. Right now, as you guys could see, I am running a query against the Kovan test network. And once this query is done, I'll be able to see my results on the right side. So that is IDE in a nutshell. I could go into greater details, but I'll just leave it here for now. And then I guess if you guys have follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to ask in chat. I'm more than happy to answer any questions related to Glider or the contest going forward.
I have prepared some questions for you too, Jason.
Sure.
So
yeah.
In the end of each section, I'll ask them for folks.
Okay. Stop me anytime. Okay. So now that we kind of talked about what glider is, what type of queries can you find? Anything you guys want. You could find everything from arbitrary calls. I know there is a recent balancer V2 hack that I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with. Now, I still don't think we know the full details of the exploit, and I don't want to jump the gun, but my understanding is that it was a potential outdated math function that was used in balancer V2 that led to the hack. And now, if that's true, it is very easy with glider to look for that vulnerable function and where it's used in every single contract. So glider is very powerful. It could find many vulnerabilities. Here at Remedy, we found, and Hexens, we found dozens and dozens of vulnerabilities that were live on chain and that we reported. So this is a very powerful tool. I kind of want to just pause here. Does anybody have any questions so far? Ellen, do you have any questions?
I see a question in the chat. Are queries written in glider language or what?
Good question. So queries are written in Python. So if you know Python, you can write glider queries. In fact, I know there's probably we've seen contributors submit queries that really don't even understand Python and are able to have running queries. And you could leverage AI to do that, and that's possible. Python's also very easy too, so you should not have an issue writing glider queries if you're familiar with any programming language or with the help of AI.
Also, I see another question. Can we access the glider in our local machine? Something like installing a pip package, or maybe in the future that will be accessible?
Yeah, unfortunately, no. Right now, the glider engine exists on our backend servers, so that's something that I know has been requested a lot by users. Right now, it's just not possible. We are talking about some features though to maybe allow you to not have to use the glider ID if you want, but we're still talking internally on that, and I really don't have. Unfortunately, at this time, I don't have good examples or I'm sorry, any estimates as to where or when that will actually happen and be available to people.
Uh, Another question from my side. Can anyone write queries on glider, or that requires some extra skills?
Yeah, so good question. I think if you are familiar enough with vulnerabilities and bugs, you can. If you understand, like if you've done some Solidity auditing before, or maybe you're just new to this and you're reading a couple articles and you understand how the vulnerability works, I believe that you can write a glider query by yourself or with the help of AI. AI, I think, is really great in that case for somebody who's new. But if you're more familiar, more seasoned veteran, I do recommend trying to learn glider yourself because there's uh, a lot of possibilities with all the knowledge that you have as a security researcher, a seasoned security researcher, and understanding how glider works and all the features will really let you write as many unique and interesting queries as you want.
Regarding the learning by yourself, where can one start if they want to learn glider?
Yeah, good question. So we have a glider API documentation page, and let me just quickly pull that up, and I'll share again my screen. 1 second. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen now. So if you go to our glider main documentation page and you click on the glider IDE on the left side, you'll see a bunch of documentation regarding glider, how to use it. We have a basics course. So if you really want to learn glider and not so much rely on AI, or you just want to understand the basics of it, you can take this course. I've written it, put a lot of effort into it. So check that out. We also have some basic information about writing queries, some tips and tricks, some articles that we've written. Also, we have probably the most important thing that you guys would be looking at is the API documentation, which is right here. So if you're looking, for example, of contracts, you'll just go here and look through all these functions that are available to you. Click on it. It has examples for different queries that you could write based on those functions, and really get started.
Nice. Someone is waiting. Can you show some good questions with Python? Is there anything?
Can I show some queries of Python? Sure. I will do that. You know what? We could probably do that right now. If we go to, let me see if. Okay, so if you guys are not familiar, again, here's the glider IDE page. On the left-hand side is our query explorer, where we can manage our queries. But not only that, we could also, I'll just pause this. We could also review different queries that we at Hexens have created. And some of them are beginner level, intermediate level, and advanced level. I really recommend you guys look at these queries and check them out. If you just click on it, you'll see that this query is just looking for cases where we're identifying contracts using chain link oracles. It's not looking for bugs, But if you want to look for bugs, you could take this and then apply it and write a query that does look for bugs related to Chainlink. And so you could just go through these different examples. These are all, I think, pretty decent queries that you could review and understand how Glider works, in particular, in relation to the bug that we're looking for. So maybe you find a bug that's somewhat related to what you're looking for here. You could take that query and adopt it to your own needs.
I think we don't have any more questions.
Sure. Okay. So I guess the next big question is, what is the Glider contest? So the Glider contest is a 2-month contest that we're hosting, where users can submit Glider queries in exchange for a prize pool, and that prize pool is broken up into it's a $50,000 prize pool, and I'll give you a little bit more details in a bit about how that's broken up. So the aim for this contest is for the community to submit Glider queries that identify vulnerabilities. The query should be good. It should be able to find a good percentage of true positives. It should find a very interesting, unique vulnerability. And once you submit it, we will triage it. We will review it. We may have some feedback, and we ask you to update or fix some. We have some suggestions that need to be fixed for the query. Once it's approved, it will be considered a contribution. And at the end of the contest, once we have all our contributions approved and we've rated all of the queries, we will then distribute a prize pool of $50,000 to all the participants who contributed a approved query. That's the basic gist of it. The rules are pretty simple. For Glider queries, we're looking for anything that looks for a security vulnerability that has found a real world bug in the wild. So as I mentioned previously with Glider, we could write a query, run it, and then find vulnerabilities live on chain, live on mainnet. So your job is to write this query and then find vulnerabilities live. And with those vulnerabilities that are live, you can then attach that as part of your query submission. And the more, I would say, the more critical the bug you find, the higher the impact the bug has, will directly impact the rating that you get in your Glider query. Let me, I'll pause here. I'm about to share my screen again. Is there any questions so far anybody has? Because I know I've just really shared a lot of detailed information here. No questions? Okay.
I see a question in the chat.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Let's say I wrote a query and was able to find live on chain. Must I further prove the vulnerability or just the query?
Yeah, so if you can, if you found a live vulnerability on chain, the other part of it will be, as part of the submission process, is writing just a very basic proof of concept. So let me, if you guys bear with me for 1 second, I want to share my screen, and I'll actually show you the specific documentation you could go to look at this. What you want to do is write a proof of concept. So if you go to the Glider API documentation and there's a section called Glider Contest, this is going to have a lot of information regarding the contest itself. And I recommend you review it and look it over before you submit a query, before you work on a query, just so you understand the all the rules that are necessary for you to meet the qualification. And one of these rules is a proof of concept, like you mentioned. So if you go to the proof of concept guidelines, you could see all the specific rules we have for writing a proof of concept. It's very similar to audit contest. You could write in Hard Hat or Foundry or Anvil. and then just write a simple test that shows that yes, in fact, this type of vulnerability exists. Here's the impact of it, and we'll be able to then run your query and then confirm, okay, this vulnerability contract that you mentioned in the report is in fact called by your query. That's all we really need.
Regarding the rules of the contest, how are the duplicates being handled?
Good question. So for duplicated submissions, the way it works is that let's say I submit a query that finds results. Now, if you later on come and contribute a query that finds over 80% of my findings, your contribution will not be considered eligible for rewards. So how to combat that is what you want to do is you will want to update your query such that you could find over 30% difference between the existing query. So again, I've written the query. You come in, you say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna write this query. I'm gonna take this query that you have, and I'm gonna find 30% more true positives with your updated query. Then that will be considered something called an optimization query. Yes. So let me actually also go and show you guys where this is located, so you don't just have to listen to what I'm saying, and you could you could look at the rules to understand. If we just go to contest rules and we go down, we could see under the rules there is the submission. I think it's I'm trying to figure out where exactly it is. Apologies, just give me 1 second. I know it's here somewhere because I was looking at it earlier. Okay, so yeah, so you could just look in the other section, and these will detail you the specific rules about duplicates. So again, if you find out that you have a 30% greater true positive rate than my query, you could submit it as an optimization query, and you'll earn up to 5% of the original reward. And obviously, you as a researcher just have to prove that and show, hey, here's the results, more than 30%. Here's the optimization. I'm submitting it.
A question in the chat, what if the query leads to the same vulnerability? Does that still count as a duplicate?
It does. So yeah, it will. Again, it's dependent upon how many, like how similar the results are between both queries. If it's more than 80% similarity, it's considered a duplicate.
Okay, and how does the triage process work?
Great question. So the way it works is this: you submit the query. You go to to submit a query too. By the way, is you're just going to go to the Glider IDE page, and unfortunately, I think I have like a special account that does not show it, but you should see on the top section right here a button that says contribute to contest. If you click on that, it will open up a contribution flow, and maybe I'll show that in a bit. So that's how you submit a query. Once you submit the query for contribution, we will triage it, and the way that works is that we're going to walk through different we'll go through different steps of the process. And the first step will be pending. Once a triager looks at your query, we'll mark it as in review. Once it's in review, the triager will review the query. And if we find that there needs to be some improvements in it, there's some questions we have, we'll post it in the contribution thread, and then we'll mark it back as pending. If the query is good to go and it's approved, or we think it's ready for approval, we'll go ahead and we'll set different ratings on it, and I could talk about the ratings in a little bit too. We'll rank it, we'll set points to it, and then we will approve the query.
Okay. Someone asks, are we focusing on finding vulnerabilities in contracts with high TVLs?
It doesn't have to be a high TVL. If you find a contract that has a low TVL, that's acceptable too. it will impact your scoring or your points. So if we go to um, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so here, if you guys go to the evaluation and rarity section, you can see all the points that we use, the different scores that we have for the query. So one of the scores is going to be initial damage. So if you have a query that finds a TVL of $100, which there's contracts that just have $100 in them, you're going to get a very low initial damage score. But if you find a vulnerability that has $1 million in initial damage, then I mean you're obviously going to get a much, probably get the highest score possible on that. But I do encourage you guys to not, every query you're going to find probably multiple hits. There's some variation to that, of course. So don't be afraid if you just see one contract that has a low TVO. That means you're doomed. You're not. I assure you, you're not. Just keep looking through your results. You'll find something interesting.
And also, do I have to submit every query I write?
No, you don't. You could keep. So here's the thing, guys. If you don't want to submit any queries to the contest, you're more than welcome to do so. Obviously, you're going to miss out on the rewards, and also just recognition that you get for a very interesting query that you've written. So if there's something that you want to keep close to your chest, you're more than welcome to keep it close to the chest and not submit it. Now, if let's say you do want to submit it, but you're kind of cautious because there's a protocol that is that let's say you found a bug, you submit it to the protocol, but the protocol hasn't fixed the bug yet. You could request that it be set private, and we'll set it as private such that no one else could look at your query for a given period of time while the protocol still resolves in fixing that bug. So those are really a way to still submit the bug and yet keep it private to make sure no one else finds that vulnerable contract that you found.
Cool. And when will the participants get their rewards?
Participants are going to get the rewards. Obviously, once the contest ends, we'll have all the contribution queries. We'll figure out how much everybody's going to get. Once you submit your KYC, which is going to be required for anybody who's making over $600 in rewards, it'll be up to 5 business days, and we'll pay you either in Tether or we'll pay you in USDC.
I don't have more questions here. Guys, do you have questions?
Yeah, and I'm just looking at chat too. Celestial, you are right. Glider is a lot like CodeQL. I actually was I've written queries in the past on CodeQL. I don't want to say I was a contributor on CodeQL itself, but I did write queries, and one of my initial interests in Glider was because it was so much like CodeQL, but just focused for solidity, which obviously CodeQL doesn't do. Okay, guys, let's see. I'm just trying to look at
we have another
we
question
may have
here.
missed.
Yes.
Go for it.
About disclosure credits. After disclosure, how soon will we be able to publish any information on the fines?
Can you after disclosure, how soon will you be able to publish any information on the fines? Are you saying for yourself, or are you saying for us? I guess just a little bit clarity on that question, and hopefully I could maybe understand it a little bit better. Let me go ahead and I'm going to show you guys a way to how to successfully submit a query or to the contribution thread. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you guys could see that. It might take a minute for us to run this. So actually, I'll update the query to be a little bit nicer, a little bit quicker. Okay, so this is a very quick function that I've ran. And obviously, this has not found any vulnerabilities, but let's just assume it has. If I want to contribute the query to the contest, I'll just go up to here. I'll click on this blue button, Contribute Query to Contest. And here, I'm going to have to fill out all of the information required to submit my vulnerability. Up here, I'm just going to have a query name for it. Here's my query. I'm going to have to give a query description and what does the query actually look for. And then here, I'm going to be providing my proof of concept. Again, this will link us to the proof of concept guide I showed you guys earlier. And then here, we're going to select vulnerable contracts that we would like the triager to review. So if there's a particular contract that it has a high TVL, high vulnerability, you will want to select that. And once you do that, you can click on Submit Query, and that will submit the query to the contribution. Triager will then pick it up. We try to complete the entire process of going from submission to either approval or rejection within 3 to 7 business days. That's what our goal is right now. Alternatively, if let's say you didn't write a new query and you're just optimizing existing query, you click on this little button right here, and you provide the same details, and you submit that.
Perfect.
Another quick thing I want to show you guys, and then I'll answer questions, is just understanding the prize pool a little bit more. So with the prize pool, what we will want to do is just have a quick understanding of how it's all distributed. So if we're at the glider contest and rules section, we could go here to monetary rewards. I'll give you a quick breakdown of how this works. So we have $50,000 total in the prize pool. $20,000 is going to go to what we consider legendary queries, and legendary queries are going to be defined based off of a formula that we have right here in the evaluation and rarity section. So you could look at this in your own time. And so based off of the different scores that you have, different points you have for your query, you could calculate what a query rarity will be. So obviously legendary is going to be 4.5 or higher. Epic will have 2.95 through 4.49. Rare is 2.0 to 2.94, and uncommon is 1 to 1.99. And based off that rarity level is how much you will be rewarded up to. So again, $20,000 to legendary queries. Then we have a separate section of $30,000 that will be distributed among epic, rare, and uncommon queries that we find. So legendaries, for each query you submit, you get up to $2,000. You could submit as many queries as you guys want. There's no limits. And for epic, 700, rare 400, and uncommon $50. Do you guys have any questions so far? I know. I think Jeffy was asking about the disclosure credits.
Do you see the chat?
Yes, I do. I'm just reviewing it. Okay, so Jeffy, after disclosure, how soon will we be able to publish any information on the fines? So okay, like the way I guess publishing works for vulnerabilities, and I'm going to give you a very broad answer, and hopefully this answers it. So obviously, if you find a vulnerability on a contract in one of your glider results, you would want to submit it to the protocol, and then once the protocol approves with you that, hey, yes, you could talk about this vulnerability, you could talk about the vulnerability. I think that works always for any bug you submit, whether it's through Glider or you're just doing it on your own. In terms of Glider, I think that obviously any contracts that you talk about, I think are still applicable to the same thing. Like you should never talk about a vulnerability for a contract that isn't aware of it or is still actively vulnerable and uh, has not given approval for you to discuss the vulnerability. And that is like, I know that's like, it's a little bit different in Web 2 because I know Web 2 has this policy of like after a certain amount of days you can talk about these vulnerabilities, but I think this is more of my general thoughts is, disclosure is really based on if the protocol or project is wanting to share those details of that vulnerability. Otherwise, I would I highly encourage you not to discuss it with your blog post. I mean, obviously you could talk about you found vulnerable contracts, but I would never give any details on how to who those actual vulnerable projects are. Hopefully that answers your questions. I think with blogs you could talk a lot. You don't have to necessarily talk about the vulnerable contracts. I think there's a lot of ways you could talk about that vulnerability. And hey, I found 10x projects that did this, but I don't know if the names are necessary. But hopefully the projects will talk with you, especially if it's a big one and they fixed it. I think there's usually in this field a pretty good common desire to be very open and transparent about bugs found on your project or found on a project you found. Another question from Lord Heb. Approved query in the contest will be added to the query DB only after contrast ends or after triage. Good question. I want to double check on this, but I think it will be added once it's been approved because we'll mark it as public. Now, again, if you want to mark it as private, we're happy to do so. And then we'll submit it and it will be in the query DB. And that will also just help on, I think, lowering the duplication rate too, because I feel really bad for anybody who's submitting a query for somebody else that has already written one. Okay, I think that's all the questions. BZ asks, where do the Foundry test part goes? It goes in the POC section. So when you're submitting your query, you'll see like a POC section, and it will actually have a template in there, and you just add your POC that way. You don't need to submit the full project. I would say just only submit what's relevant, and we'll take that POC and then run it locally, and just to confirm that the bug is valid. What else can we talk about? So another thing that I think I want to give you guys, or maybe you have some questions for me regarding like tips and tricks, because I have some thoughts on that, but I know some people may have some questions on how to write a really good query that can excel in this contest.
Maybe just a general outline of tips and tricks of how to write a great query.
Good question. That's a great question. So I'll tell you what I've seen so far from contributors and kind of give you some advice on how to avoid it. Common vulnerabilities, I just, they're really great. You're going to find a lot of them, but you're also going to have a lot of competition. And, Glider's a very powerful tool. It's, when you do audits, like if you're just like doing a contest or you're an auditor, you have one project you have to look at. So obviously in the back of your mind, you're going to think about comments and then uncommons and rares and all that. But with Glider, again, you're looking at many contracts. So common vulnerabilities, you're just going to get many of them. And that's great. That's nice. I would look for unique vulnerabilities that maybe you know about and very few other people know about. The reason why that is, you want to do that is because with a rare vulnerability, you're going to get a lot less results. That's okay. But you're going to find a lot more interesting contracts. You're going to find contracts that are um, probably not aware of the vulnerability that you are aware of. So again, I just, really, really think about the type of vulnerability you want to look for. Look for something you're comfortable with, but just don't think about the common vulnerabilities. If you go to an audit checklist for beginners, uh, I would be somewhat cautious of thinking about super tackling the super common ones. There's exceptions. If you can make it very unique and interesting, a very interesting, unique use case, go for it. But otherwise, us try to keep it in the unique category. AI is great, but I've seen AI also write code that it just would not be acceptable for the contest. It's maybe having too many try exceptions. It's using too much grepping of the source code. So like a lot of glider, a lot of beginners, and I don't blame them. I mean, I did this a little bit too when I first started. I just would take a phrase that I wanted to look for and then grep it against the source code, and that was it, does it work? Yes, but you're not taking advantage of the glider library. So try to avoid that. I mean, AI will give you a really good start, and I do recommend people to use it, but also then just be very careful and go through your queries and make sure that you're actually using the glider API library and not just grepping code or not just doing a bunch of try exceptions. Try exceptions are usually a bad code smell of um, the AI actually not understanding the glider API library enough, or it could be just like a weird use of a function that is going to render an error, which is extremely rare. I mean, either in any case like that, just ask us on Discord. We'll be happy to help you write a great quality query. I think those are my two big pieces of advice for anybody wanting to um, avoid common pitfalls.
Nice. I think you partially answered, but anyways, how would you approach writing glider queries for this contest?
Okay, I got one. So think about how like an auditor works, and so if you're auditing a contest, you're going to like think about a bug. You're going to look at the code. You say, I'm going to think, could this happen? And you're going to probably spend 20 to 30 minutes walking through the code, trying to figure out like, is this actually exploitable? Some sort of strange, interesting vulnerability that you found. It could be anything. Now, the longer it takes you to find that vulnerability, the greater the likelihood you should write a glider query for it, because where glider excels is automation. And so I'll give you an example of this. I I was looking for a vulnerability one time where a user input was going to eventually reach a low level call. Now that is vulnerable for many reasons. I won't go into the details, but an auditor it's going to take several minutes for the auditor to go through that workflow of looking at the code line by line and seeing, okay, where does this go? Where does this go? Where does this go? Does it eventually lead to a low level call? And with Glider, I just was able to write that as just a simple query. I ran the query and it just did all the work for me. Those are the type of bugs you want to look for. I mean, again, there's exceptions too, right? You could say I want to look for a vulnerable library function that, like in a math library that is used by a protocol that has over $100 million. That you could think about that too. So just really approach it from the perspective of what's something that most researchers aren't looking for, and research that. Like that's difficult to do in an audit contest because you just have like 5, 10, 15 files to look through. But with Glider, you're looking at every verified contract on mainnet. So that would be my 2 cents on how I would approach it.
I see a question in the comments. Are there any common pitfalls to avoid? Something general.
Yeah, I think I
That's very
answered that
cool.
earlier, just discussing the different pitfalls. Okay, Alaska King asked, "What if you find a bug that's involved in a bug bounty or competition?" Well, I would submit it to the bug bounty or competition. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And if you're kind enough, mention that you used Glider to find the bug. We always appreciate that. Another question: after submittal, do you review and change it to meet requirements feedback before it's even approved? Do we as triagers review it? I mean, obviously, yes, we will review it. We're going to look at requirements, feedback. I'll be honest with you, there's going to be strict requirements, and we'll provide a lot of good feedback for every query that's submitted. So there will be a lot of back and forth, I think, between triagers and contributors. But also, in addition, if you want to update it after it's approved, you could do so too. So a query is not done once it's been approved. Honestly, I think I've seen many queries that you could look at it and you could branch it off. You can look for a different angle, and that's sort of intuitive. But that's also, if you work with Glider enough, you'll start realizing that you have to make, I'm not going to say compromises, but you have to understand what you're looking for, and you have to look for it in a very exact manner. And that leads you to the possibility of writing, I'll call them variant queries that are related to one another, but look for slightly different things. And those are really cool too. I mean, I that's what I've been doing a lot in my own research. Celestial. Okay. Jeffe. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Is there any Glider context providers? I assume you're talking about AI. If you could provide some clarity on that, that'd be good. I can answer your question. How much will AI be helpful in writing these queries? Pretty helpful. Again, you just want to be careful. Like, I would not rely on AI to write your query and you submit it. I'll be honest with you, it's probably going to get rejected. I think I have a good eye for Glider AI queries by now, so it's just not good enough yet. The models aren't good enough yet. We're constantly trying to work on greater documentation and prompts for you guys to write better queries, but I think at the end of the day, there's limitation to AI with Glider, because there's not enough Glider examples. I mean, I think models are really great for writing basic examples in code, even beyond just Glider, just like any application. But I think it's much harder when you have a unique library, static code analyzer, and AI is just not that good yet. And it probably will be in the future, though. Back to Jeff's question, we don't have any context providers. Again, we're trying to get more prompts and details out there. We do have we are working on a chat feature, but I don't want to say much more about that. I'm not sure if it's been released. But it will be coming out soon, and you guys could take a look at that. I'll also post that in Discord once I get more information on that. But then after seeing findings, there's no Mr. Antics. But then after seeing some findings provided by Glider, there's no detailed report to help. Can you clarify that, Mr. Antics? I'm happy to answer that. I just need a little bit more information. Okay, guys, I think that is. I'll wait maybe a couple more minutes for questions. Otherwise, I think that's really all I wanted to share today. Obviously, the contest starts tomorrow at 12 p.m. UTC time. And if you guys want to know more, you can check out our Glider API documentation. Ask all the questions you want on Discord. We're happy to help you guys and answer anything you have, anything related. There's a lot of really great ideas out there, and you guys could convert them into Glider queries and find vulnerabilities. I know for a fact there's criticals that could be found with Glider, We found them, we continue to find them. And so having the community work on it too is going to be really great, because I think you guys are going to find some very wild bugs out there. And so all it really is comes down to your imagination and how you could take something from an idea to a query and then start looking for bugs on mainnet. I think Mr. Antics is still writing, so I'm going to give him another minute or two. Ellen, any questions for me?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mr. Antics asks, I'm a beginner and I'm going with the default queries, which are already very interesting, but able to submit them. I would need a detailed report to submit it, since I'm well. So with the beginner, obviously, like obviously with the queries that exist, the default queries, they're not submittable for the contest, since they've already been written. But for, like, let's say you take a query and then you modify it and you're looking for something else. For like for bug, I would need a detailed report to submit it. Can you? I guess I'm still just a little confused about the specific question you're asking. So what I would say is this: if you have a glider query that finds a vulnerability, and you are, okay, maybe you're asking for glider example. So we do have a glider cheat sheet that Jeffe very nicely posted in our chat. Check that out. That has a lot of examples of different glider snippets of code you could use for whatever bug you're looking for. And if there's one missing that you're like, hey, you know what, I really wish there's like a snippet of code for this, like, don't hesitate to reach out to me and just post it and just ask, and I could most likely just write it for you and add it to the glider cheat sheet. Also, in addition, like, as more and more glider queries in the DB will be added, and I think there's going to be a lot that's going to be added in the next day from the team before the contest starts. You could check out that as well, and you'll find a lot of different interesting use cases. For a beginner, I would suggest that you take a query, run it, and then try to modify it. I wouldn't start from scratch, actually. I would look at, like, if you're a true beginner, take a query and just start messing around with it. Try to understand how it will work and what are some variations to that vulnerability. I think we have a couple of queries, to be honest with you, that can easily be switched to a different type of bug, and you can do that pretty easily, and you'll find very interesting results for sure. And you'll learn a lot too about the glider query and how glider works and the glider library. Jeffy asked, what made you get into this line of work? Good question. I mean, I was interested in security back in like 2017, 18. I was doing Web2. I was doing I was doing a lot of work. I didn't work at Netflix, but I was doing a lot of bug hunting on Netflix. And then I got into CodeQL, which, if you guys aren't familiar, it's just like Glider, except for CodeQL handles a bunch of different languages, Ruby, Python, Go, etc. And from there, I got into Web3, and then I eventually discovered Glider, and I became very, very interested in it. I know how powerful CodeQL is, so I know how powerful Glider is. That's probably what got me into it. And obviously, with Glider is really fascinating because it's an extremely powerful tool, and it's a very different way of thinking than from auditing. I mean, they're both similar, but with Glider, you have to think about it on a more abstract level. There's a lot of artistry involved in writing a Glider query, but what's more interesting is that you can, I think, find more vulnerabilities than doing audit, because you audit one project at a time, but with Glider, you're really just auditing every single contract that deals with the potential potential bug you're looking for, and that is like really cool. Mr. Antics, I do too. We don't have any plans right now to do that. I will say I did see on, I'll end it with this. I did see on Twitter that somebody did create a very basic static code analyzer for Solana. So it does exist. I'll try to Google for it. I can't remember the name of it. I didn't really take a look at it, but I think there's just going to be more work done on static code analyzers in the future. So I would say do search for that. I wish I had a link to it. I don't. But that's it, guys. I think no more questions. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, as always, just ask on Discord. Go check out the glider contest on r.xyz, and you just click on the glider query DB section at the top, and you will be able to review all the contest rules, understand what's going on, and be able to submit bugs and get paid. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it. Ellen, do you have anything else that
We will post this video
sure.
to
Perfect.
YouTube, so if you missed any part of it, you'll be able to watch it by the end of the week.
Check out the link that Dima posted as well. That's to the contest that I shared with you guys during this call. So perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.